Hello, good evening. Happy Thursday. How are you all doing? Besides melting, maybe you all aren't melting. I am melting. What's up, Gabby? How are you? Good to see you. Hello, Lauren. Good to see you as well. Same as yesterday, Flashman, melting. How are you? We got one more hot day ahead of us, and then we're cooling down to the upper 80s. But it's all right. Not complaining because it's summer and it's not snowing. So, yay. Hello, Holly. How are you? I am ready to get back into some Broderick. We have was 70 and cloudy where you live, Gabby. Good grief. I'd be freezing cold after feeling 103 all week. Whew, that would be like fall, which would be nice. It's okay. But anyway, we are going to jump back into Mrs. Broderick. I guess now she would just be Miss. She's still Mrs. I don't know how those rules work. But anyway, and before I forget, I will recap where we've been because I always forget. We have been watching the 1991 trial of Betty Broderick. It is her second trial. The first trial ended in a hung jury, not on her guilt or innocence, but on her degree of guilt. So this is actually her second trial. Her first trial did not have any cameras or anything that I've ever seen. This is the second trial to air on court TV after Pam Smart, who she's in prison because she asked two of her students to unalive her husband, and they did. They paid him a little bit of money, sent him some pictures of her and some, sexy things, and she's in prison. But back to Betty, who was also a teacher before she stayed home to raise her family with her then husband Dan. Glad she didn't hire any students. Good grief, what's wrong with those people? But anyway, Betty's on trial because she allegedly unalived her ex-husband Dan and his new wife, Linda Kolkena, who was... I don't mean any disrespect to Mrs. Broderick when I say this, but she was the younger, newer, prettier model of Betty because her and Betty looked quite a bit alike when Betty was younger. And Linda was younger. So Dan and Betty were pushing 40 and Linda was barely 20, pushing 20. She was 21 when she met Dan, and Dan hired her to be his paralegal, which I was thinking about this because Betty complained that Linda did not have any experience or anything doing that type of work. Back at that time, actually, though, you went and did face-to-face interviews, which is quite different than today. You don't have an algorithm or whatever, that you're just sending your application, resume, what have you, off to who knows where for probably no one to look at unless you get through all the parameters they have set up, and you take out that face-to-face interaction, and you probably miss out on really a lot of good people because you can tell more about meeting somebody and talking to them in person than you can on a piece of paper. So it doesn't surprise me that that Linda was hired without having any experience, mostly because she was pretty. I'm getting visited. Hi. Let's come see everybody because it's been a while. This is my granddaughter. She hasn't been here for a while on the computer. Yep, she turns 1 tomorrow. And she's a lot more active and handsy lately.
We just wanted to crash your party.
I
All right, that's it.
Bye. So anyway, Linda and Dan started having an affair. They eventually ended up getting married. Obviously, that sent Betty and put her in a bad place. Don't blame her. She allegedly broke into their house early one morning while they were sleeping, went up to their bedroom. She says in some of her interviews that she's done that she was going to self-delete in front of them, but instead she deleted both of them. And so now she is on trial for their unalivings. And we have been watching, we got through part 6 yesterday. Her testimony, she's testifying her own defense. Her testimony is divided into 12 parts, or split up into 12 parts. We finally got to cross-examination yesterday. It did not let us down. At least it didn't let me down. I figured that Betty and the prosecutor would butt heads, and they have so far. They've been pretty argumentative with each other. I'm not grifting off of anybody, Natalie, but thanks. And if you question, do you think she was justified in unaliving 2 people because she feels like she was put in a bad spot? Okay, I'm not going to argue with you, Natalie. I've been kind of waiting for you. So you're fine. You can stick around, but I'm not going to argue with you. Anyway, don't unalive people. I mean, if you do, you end up in prison. I can't help you. So that's my advice. But anyway, back to Betty and the prosecutor today. We've only got about an hour to cover. So that's what we're going to do. And Gabby, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But don't. It's fine, Gabby. I've actually had mentioned this earlier this week that I've been waiting. So it is a-okay. You just kind of learn, people. But anyway, back to what we're doing. We are back. I think we might finally be on a different day. Prosecutors in different clothes. Church ladies in different clothes. I can't see Betty yet. So here we go. Sound should be good. Hopefully I can hear tonight. And here we go.
In August of '86, whether or not it was clear that you had no intention to take custody of the children.
It was after the bifurcation. Dan had gotten sole custody, no visitation. I couldn't just go over there and take them.
But you didn't want them either. Did you write in your diary, for example, when I'm assured of financial security,
Yes.
my house, car, social standing, I will begin to discuss custody. For now, I am too enraged by your actions to be around the children or to accept any responsibility for them.
That's exactly right. That's
Okay.
right.
So
I was
you didn't
very
want,
upset, and I had no security, as I've explained earlier, about anything. And I wanted to get the security set up first as a package deal with the children, because I was just too nervous to take on the children without anything. I couldn't. I couldn't.
in August of 1986, you were living in Calle de Cielo. You've been living there for 16 months, correct?
Yes.
You also had 3 cars at the time, correct?
Maybe.
And you indicated that you had to be assured of your social standing before you would begin to discuss custody. How was it that you were going to be assured of your social standing?
Our objection, if she's reading, I'd like to know which volume
Oh.
of the diary.
That's not church lady. Oops.
August of '86.
You want to see the pages, really? Show them the page.
How was it that you were going to be assured of your social standing before you would discuss custody of the children?
I'm glad that you mentioned that. Social standing was not what I meant. What I meant was identity. You know, I didn't know if I wasn't yet Mr. Broderick's ex-wife. I didn't know who I was in the world. I didn't know where I stood. His name was still on the house, so I wasn't sure that that was my house. I had no definition.
You did say
So it's when they're asked, what did you mean, she should be allowed to explain what you meant.
Objection sustained. Let her finish her answer, Mrs. Wells, and let her ask another question.
Did you finish the answer?
No, it's a pretty complicated answer. I didn't know who I was. I had lost my social friends through Dan and the legal system.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I had a total lack of identity, and the financial settlement to me would have been day one of building a new Betty Broderick. But I didn't know how to build a new Betty Broderick until I got the definition of who I was and where I was going to live and how I was going to work. And that's what I meant by that. It wasn't social stand.
It was your choice to wait and make sure about your claims of financial security before you took custody of the children.
At several junctures, I said I wouldn't take the children. Never was I, in fact, offered the children. Never.
You never made a request for the children. You specifically did not make a request for the children. For example, when you were represented by Mr. Hargraves in 1986, did you?
Mr. Hargreaves, as we've described, was on the job for one court appearance. We never got to discussing the kids.
And that was a court appearance where you could go in and you could request custody of the kids. In fact, he talked to you about the fact that if you took custody of the kids, you'd even get more money. But you didn't even want to do that.
No, that's not correct. We went in on an emergency support order because of being denied any money in November of 86 and December of 86. Dan had cut it off entirely. There's a legal word for what it was, how he had an emergency hearing. That covered no other subjects about community property or children or visitation, not even mentioned. That was strictly emergency support here.
And it was your choice to have Mr. Hargraves then go in for this emergency support as opposed to going in and also asking for custody. There was nothing that prevented him from doing that.
Not as opposed to.
Sustained.
You never made a request of Mr. Hargraves to make a motion for custody, correct?
Mr. Hargreaves wasn't on the job long enough. He did the emergency support hearing and he was fired.
Yes or no? Did you ever make a request of Mr. Hargraves for custody of the children?
No.
And in fact, when you went up and hired Mr. Glucksman in Los Angeles, he went ahead and he wrote up a whole motion for custody of the children and filed it, and you were angry about that. You complained about it with Mr. Hargraves, that you had no intention of seeking custody of the kids, and you were angry that Mr. Glucksman had done that.
No, what happened with that was Mr. Glucksman was on the job again for a little short period of time, and he started the works to get the whole divorce done. He was going to start discovery. He listed depositions to be taken, and we were going to go to court for the kids and things. And then Tricia Smith came along, and all the dates that Mr. Glucksman put on were vacated. And then Tricia Smith started doing things her way. And
may I simply ask you whether or not you complained to Mr. Hargraves about the fact that Mr. Glucksman had filed a motion for custody without your permission?
No,
Never did
that's
that?
not true.
Well, moving into 1987, with respect to custody of the children, you had the meetings in March with Dr. Roth. And it was very clear at that time, again, that you did not want custody of the children when you had your meetings with Dr. Roth.
I was a total wreck by the time I met Dr. Roth, and I could not take the children emotionally at all until I got a settlement. I was frantic. I'd been thrown in jail. I'd gone through all this stuff. He'd cut off all the money. I'd gone through the Glucksman, Hargreaves, Tricia Smith thing. I had liens on my house. I'd given away my necklace, and I was absolutely, when I met Ruth Roth. Sorry, how you transcribe that, sorry.
When you met Ruth Roth, it was made clear to you that the issue was custody of the children and trying to do something to settle that for the children, and that you had the option of taking the children at that point, and you said no. You said there was no way you would be the single mother of 4 children. Whether you have your reasons for it or not, isn't it true that you made the choice at that time not to take the children?
Your Honor,
That is
objection.
misstated.
The question is compound.
Overruled. She answered that.
Did you indicate to Dr. Roth that there was no way you were going to be the single mother of 4 children?
Dr. Roth never offered me the children. She was not in a position to say, here are your kids, Betty, go home now.
Did you
It was
make
a
a statement
discussion.
to Dr. Roth that you were not going to be the single mother of 4 children, that Dan Broderick would die first?
I don't remember making that exact statement. I was an absolute basket case. I was terrified. I was horrified. I was scared. I was upset. The whole Dr. Ruth Roth little segment was a disaster. Every part of it was a disaster.
And, well, let's move on to December of 87. That was in March of 87. In December of 87, again, Dan Broderick had made an offer, tried to make an offer to you to take the children, and again, you refused in December of 1987.
Could you just get a little bit more specific, please?
Did you write in your diary in December of 1987, Dan has a new tact of giving me kids. Trouble is, my house does not fit them, and I have no money to support them.
If that's what I wrote in the diary, that's what I wrote in the diary. But I don't remember that particular Christmas or why, or I'm not with you yet on what was going on at that time.
If you could just take a look at this diary sheet and just identify if that's your handwriting.
Yes, it's a sheet of the diary. If I could see the rest of the diary, the sheets before, I would know how we got there.
Okay. But you did say in December of 1987 that Dan was trying to give you the kids. But the trouble was your house did not fit them and you had no money to support them. You made that statement.
If that's what that says, yes,
Weren't-
but it's out of context.
Weren't you complaining at that time that it was Dan's house that didn't fit the kids? That it was Dan's house that was in the slums and it wasn't an appropriate house and that your house was much better? Weren't you making statements like that?
We came out of a 5-bedroom house where every child had their own bedroom and we had a master bedroom. That's 5 bedrooms. And each of us after Coral Reef got 3-bedroom houses, which put a master bedroom and a suite and then 2 other bedrooms sharing a bath. So that left the 2 boys in one room, the 2 girls in another room, and all 4 children sharing what was in both houses, a very small bath, 4 kids sharing the one bath. That is not the living arrangements any of us were ever used to, and the kids sharing the closet and everything in the room.
So is that your reason for not taking the children in 1987?
No, but that's the reason for that.
Room?
That's the reason for that, and that's before I built the family room and tried to make my house better for the children. Neither Dan's house nor my house had a family room or enough bedrooms compared to Coral Reef.
Well, so the children had to share a room at Dan's house, right? Danny and Rhett stayed in the same room. They had bunk beds in the same room at Dan's house, right?
Only for a few months because they fought like crazy. And then when somebody moved out, Danny went into that bedroom and Kim was in the maid's room downstairs. And that's how Lee ended up in the pool house.
Okay.
You know,
And
'cause
so are you saying there was no room in that house that you were living in to take these children?
No, everything's relative. I could have had 100 people on the floor if that's how they wanted to live, but it wasn't the way they were used to living.
Okay.
And I was trying to make the house better for them.
And so your choice in December of 1987 was still that the house was not appropriate enough to take custody of your children.
If that's what that says, that's what I wrote there that day at that time for a reason. I had to
You
fix up
also
my
said-
house. I added things as time went on.
It was more important to you to fix up your house.
It was more important to me that the
That's
kids,
argumentative process.
You indicated also that not only did your house not fit them, but you had no money to support them, right?
I always said I had no money. I never had
And
any
this
money.
was December of 1987. Your Honor may have marked as People 73, a group of chicks.
Tell me how many?
Yes. $14 checks.
So marked.
I'd like to just go through these checks one by one and simply have you identify them as your checks if you would. Referring first to the first check dated November 5th, 1987, written to I. Magnan for $500. Was that a check that she wrote?
Yes,
And on November 9th, 1987, a check to Nordstrom's for $500. Was that a check that you wrote?
yes,
November 11th, 1987, a check to Saks Fifth Avenue for $391.48. Did you write that down? November 11th, 1987, a check to Robinson's for $500. Did you write that check?
Mhm.
November 4th, 1987, a check to First Card, your MasterCard, for $1,000.
Great.
November 4th, 1987, a check to Great American for MasterCard, $1,000. Is that your check?
These are all my checks.
December 8th, 1987, a check to Nordstrom's for $1,000.
Yes.
December 15th, 1987, a check to Neiman Marcus for $1,000.
Yes.
December 21st, 1987, a check to Great American on your MasterCard for $1,000, $1,012.74.
Right.
January 8th, 1988, a check to iMagnin for $500.
Right.
January 18th, 1988, a check to Robinson's for $500.
Right.
January 8th, 1988, a check to Nordstrom's for $1,000.
This is a long time, yes.
January 18th, 1988, a check to Neiman Marcus for $550.
Right.
January 18th, 1988, a check to Bowers, which is a jewelry store, for $261.
Right.
You did tell Dr. Nelson in 1987, sometime in 1987, that the kids were happy living in their dad's house. Do you recall telling Dr. Nelson that?
I don't know. I went to Dr. Nelson because the children were suicidal, running away, and depressed and unhappy at Dan's house, so.
Do you recall
I told
telling
him that.
Dr. Nelson, I don't feel terrible that the kids are living with their father? I have a 3-bedroom house, so the boys would have to share. The kids are happy living in their dad's house.
I could have said that on that day, but I went to him about getting the kids.
And there were times when you got the children for visitation, weekends, for example, that made you angry. You were angry when you would get them. You felt that Dan was using you as a babysitter.
That particular weekend that he dumped them and went to the Ritz-Carlton, and I found out later, yes, I felt that he had made these plans and he didn't have a babysitter, so dump and away he went. That was that, yes.
Well, that was back
Felt
in
that was rude.
1986, that weekend. There were many other weekends in 1987 and 1988 where you felt the same way, where you were angry about getting the kids because you felt he was using you as a babysitter.
I felt he was jerking us all around by not having any plans. I already said I couldn't make any plans, and I never knew till the last minute. And he was totally jerking me around on purpose. If he knew I had plans, I'd get the kids. If I asked for the kids in advance, like the Christmas party or Halloween or something, I could be assured I wasn't getting them. That was the only thing I could count on. But it was just turmoil, and it was driving me crazy. And I was very angry, yes.
Well, you were depressed about or claimed to be depressed about the fact that the kids were coming over, period, because they made such a mess in your house.
My kids always made a mess. They're kids.
Did you tell Dr. Nelson, I'm depressed thinking of the kids coming to live with me for the weekend? They drive me crazy?
No.
Did you tell Dr. Nelson, I'm not comfortable having the kids in my house. If it's not right, I don't want the kids?
If it's not right, I don't want the kids. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know.
Do you recall talking about Rhett, saying, I don't want to care for him. If I do 10 more years of childcare and not take care of myself, I'll end up with nothing. Rhett will have to go back to Dan and do the best he can. I have to take care of myself.
If that's what he wrote down, I guess I said that, but I don't know what I meant by that. Except that I was deteriorating very rapidly myself and I needed help.
Do you recall being angry about the boys coming over to visit you on your birthday in 1986 because it ruined your invites for the day?
No, I don't remember. I don't know what invites are.
Did you write in your diary, supposedly let boys come here for my birthday? Having boys ruined all the invites I had for birthday.
I don't know what that means.
You complained that you weren't allowed to visit the boys or they weren't allowed to visit you on your birthday. And yet when you had them for your birthday, you complained that they ruined your other plans for the day.
Well, that's what would happen, is I would be told I wasn't getting them on birthday and a particular Mother's Day that I remember. So I'd make other plans. On a particular Mother's Day, because I couldn't have my children, I invited Brad's mother to town and father and his brother and stuff. And because I couldn't have my own children, I was going to have this nice weekend for Brad's mother. And I made a lot of plans, a lot of cooking and everything, and bang-o, my kids show up. And it wasn't that I didn't want to see my children. I wanted to see my children, but it really messed up the whole weekend. And Mrs. Wright felt like she was in the way now because my kids showed up and they left early, and I felt bad about it. It was just mayhem all the time. It wasn't that I didn't want to ever see my children.
Well, do you recall complaining when the boys would come over? In, for example, August of '88, can't do anything social with boys here. House a mess, house a mess, one into the other. I'm in for all day. Money, 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 even when home. Just like old days, free slave.
Are those pages from my diary?
Yes.
If you're going to keep putting in pages from the diary, you have to put in the whole diary that is a day-by-day demise and destruction of everything. It's just, I'm just going in the toilet
about
here.
this particular day on August the 1st.
I have an attorney appointment at the top of the page, and the boys were here the next day. And then a week later, I can't do anything social with boys here. House a mess. This is the summertime, so they must have been there. One into the other, I'm in car all day, money, 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 even when home. I don't even know what that means now. Just like the old days, free slave. Those are my notes on August 8th. I don't even know what year.
Your Honor, this might be appropriate time for the break.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our morning recess. This time we'll be in recess for 15 minutes until 25 to 11. Please remember the admonition. During the recess, it was brought to my attention by my bailiff that we have two jurors who are a little under the weather. One is apparently substantially ill. It's Miss Correnti, is that correct? No. Oh, you in the back. I'm sorry. They told me it was the lady in the front row, and it's the lady in the back row. It is the lady in the back row. I'm sorry. And you are Miss Correnti, right?
It's not Mr. Correnti.
It's not. Oh. Miss Phelps? All right. Also, one of the gentlemen jurors is a little under the weather. He thinks he could probably make it through the day. I've discussed with the attorneys this matter, and they both have informed me that they would like to keep our present jury constituted the way it is, and that they do not have an objection to us taking a recess for the day so that you can recover. And that in that event, we wouldn't be seating the alternates at this time. Is that correct, Ms. Wells and Mr. Early?
Yes, that is correct.
And you concur in your attorney's decision, Ms. Broderick?
Yes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a recess at this time. Now, if any of you aren't feeling well enough to make it tomorrow morning, if you just call us and not try to come in here and tell us that. If you're not well enough to make it, you can just call the courtroom and let my clerk know. And if you call early enough, we'll try to get a hold of the other jurors so that they don't have to drive in also. Obviously, we hope that this is a temporary thing and not a 3-day flu or whatever. With that, we'll recess for the day. Please remember the admonition. And one other thing I want to mention to you specifically, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're all being careful about not watching the television news and that sort of thing, but sometimes something can sneak up on you. I know that at some point this week, and I'm not sure if it's tonight or tomorrow or Friday night, 2020 will be doing a segment on this case. I'm not sure what they'll broadcast, but I just would ask you not to watch any of the 2020 program whenever it's on so that you're not exposed to something and can't get to the TV fast enough to get rid of it. So please be extra careful not to watch that show this week. Please remember the admonition. See you tomorrow morning. We're in recess. You're present. Mrs. Broderick is not present. The district attorney is not present at their request. Mr. Early is present representing his client, who I understand waives her presence for purposes of this proceeding. Mr. Early, is that correct?
That's correct.
And Mr. Chuck Irwin representing the Sheriff's Department, is that correct?
Good morning, Your Honor. Charles Irvin on behalf of the Sheriff. Your Honor, Elizabeth Bowman is here. She's also an attorney who's been working on at least the orders for this.
Ms. Bowman? The matters on calendar for the court to consider 10 proposed orders submitted by the defense, who I understand has attempted to gain informal discovery on matters related to the jail incident and the sheriff for various reasons, has refused to comply with the informal request, at least as to these 10 areas, and it's on calendar of defense request for the court to rule on these various orders. Does that accurately state why we're here, gentlemen? And Ms. Bowman?
Yes, it does, except that there were 9 orders that related to the first incident, and I added 10th one.
Yeah,
Since that time, but I gave a copy of that also.
All right, but I have a total of 10, so I have them all.
Yes, you did.
Let's start with the 2 orders involving the Sharon Nobles. I'm not quite sure of the relevance of that. Can somebody enlighten me as to Sharon Nobles?
If I could just very briefly, Your Honor, Sharon Nobles was in the cell before Elizabeth Broderick was in the disciplinary cell. Also, the incident that got it so that Mrs. Broderick was given some disciplinary time that this incident arose out of was because of an incident that involved Sharon Nobles. And so there was a dispute between her and a deputy, and that's and obviously this would be part of the evidence to show Mrs. Broderick's reaction to what the sheriffs did, what was reasonable and unreasonable. She was the person who was down in the holding cell. There were some incidents with the marshals down there. There was an incident on the bus where she threw some stuff in the bus, some threats towards my client, and then she arrived at the jail where there was another incident with Ms. Nobles, and then there was an incident that Ms. Broderick got the disciplinary time for.
Well, let's start with the 2 orders now with regards to her, Mr. Irvin. The first one is for all videotapes of any incidents involving inmate Sandra Nobles. Do any such videotapes exist?
To my knowledge, there are no existing videotapes of inmate Sandra.
With that by way of background, Mr. Early, is there any sense in me signing this order, or do you want me to sign it in any of you?
Well, it just the record can reflect then that what I would like is the court just to have the order and that it's been complied with, or at least their representation says it's been complied with, since there is no videotape.
And I assume you have no objection to the order then, Mr. Irwin, is that correct?
I don't have any objection, Your Honor.
All right. And I'll sign that order. Today is November the 7th. The next order with regard to Ms. Nobles is for all documents, so I'm sure specifically what he means is reports made by agents of the Sheriff's Department regarding Sandra Nobles. What's your position on that, Mr. Irvin?
My position, Your Honor, is that the defense counsel hasn't shown any good cause or how these matters might be relevant to the proceedings before this court. My understanding is that the incident involving Mrs. Broderick at the Las Colinas detention facility has not been brought before the court at this time. I'm not sure if it ever will be before this court.
Well, go ahead.
Excuse me. I think that the materials that are part and parcel of this booking jacket, which is what it's commonly referred to by us, there's some privileged information regarding this inmate. I think furthermore that many of the documents that are inside this booking jacket would be precluded from discovery by 6254 of the government code. And I would ask that this court not grant Mr. Early's order to disclose these materials. Furthermore, I think, and I'm privy to some information, that this inmate may be under some psychiatric care or some medical care. I believe that there are documents relating to that condition in this file. I think they concern confidential patient-client discussions, and I don't think they're appropriate for discovery. I would assert privilege on her behalf as to those materials.
That would appear to be appropriate, but what about just the incident reports that are filled out by a deputy sheriff or correctional officer?
As they relate to Sandra Nobles?
Yes.
I can't see any relevance that might have before this court today.
I'm not saying whether or not it has any relevance at this point, but in case the videotape comes in, they may become relevant. And I understand that Mr. Early needs this information in order to investigate any possible defense his client might have to the videotaped incident, should the videotaped incident come into evidence. So I'm not at this point saying that it is relevant or will become relevant in this case, but I think he has a right to information to be in a position to present a defense should it become relevant.
Is the court then instructing that we should make the entire file?
No, I don't want you to release any medical information on her. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think that's something they need for a defense. Go ahead, Mr. Early.
Your Honor, I think it's appropriate, though, that they submit to the court the file, and that the court can order that if there's something that's private in there, that be ordered sealed and not turned over. But I think, first of all, they wouldn't have the right to do the privilege, but I'm not going to ask for privileged information at this point in time. But I think it's at least appropriate that the file be made available to the court so the court can review it and give over to us the incident reports that would be relevant. And I would honor the court that those reports that are turned over are only to be used for the purpose of investigation, not released to any other person.
And specifically not to any civil attorneys that may be involved in this incident. I'm sure you would not do that, but I'm sure that's what they're interested in also.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, what I'm saying is it would be only used for investigation in this case, and I would not be using it to turn it over to anyone else.
Seems like an appropriate compromise, Mr. Irwin. Do you have an objection to that?
I'd submit, Your Honor.
All right, then I won't sign the order turned over to the defense. I'll leave that order unsigned, but with the understanding that Mr. Irwin, your department will turn that file over to me, and I will release only unprivileged material, specifically, more than likely just the incident reports. I don't know what else might be in there, but probably would just release the incident reports.
Are we then going to have an in-camera hearing regarding the materials that are in that file, Your Honor? Are you directing us to turn that file over to you and you'll return it out to you for review?
I think you can just turn it over to me unless you want to have a hearing, and I'll review it. And if I'm going to release anything other than incident reports, I'll notify both counsel so that we can have a hearing. You'll have an opportunity to object.
Very well. Are you going to set a date for us to turn that over?
How soon can you do it?
And in
Tomorrow?
light of the three-day weekend.
Hello, stranger. Hey, Sticky, how you doing? How are you? Good to see you. Hope you are well and are not too hot. I know I was muted for a second, Flashman. I got it. But thanks. This is going to be like the shortest stream ever. Well, not ever, but you know, it's going by fast.
Would Tuesday be appropriate?
Sure, that's all right.
Very well.
Your Honor, I'd just like to state that after we receive the information, that we may be asking for further information or require another hearing with regard to the privileged information.
All right, well, at this point, I can't see where you would be entitled to any psychiatric reports, which I think is going to be the only thing in the privilege, but if you want to have a hearing on that, you can.
Thank you.
The next order that I have in front of me is requesting all the documents and reports regarding
Seriously?
the August 23rd, 1991 incident of involving the defendant Elizabeth Broderick. Do you have any objection to turn over incident reports on that incident, Mr.
My understanding, Your Honor, these materials have been made available to the DA. We furnished all such documents. I think defense counsel can get those documents from the district attorney.
Your Honor, we attempted to get the documents from the district attorney, and we had a hearing on the matter, and we were referred
70.
to Captain Spencer,
Lucky.
and then in turn to Mr.
Gabby, too.
Mr. Irvin, apparently the district attorney isn't going to turn them over. Can you turn them over without an order, or do you need an order?
How many beers are you deleting, Brandon? I don't have anything. And by the way, did you guys not all notice I left and Carmen took over for a minute? You can't pay full attention. I'm gonna leave. If I'm gonna lead you on like it's 1769. Yep, we're getting baked out here. It's been like 90 something, feeling like the 103. It's been great. It's been great. Yes, does she not turn the camera on? I had to go make a bottle of formula, Brandon. Yeah, it was Carmen. You were not seeing things. I was not going to, it was shorter for me to get up, let her have the stream, me go downstairs, make the bottle, and come back up. Oh no, you're never living the 1745 thing down. I will keep it alive. Brandon will keep it alive. And I've told some people. Not that they're here, but they can also keep it alive. And you just won't even know that they're keeping it alive. I don't know. This rest of the argument, ugh. I don't even know what they're arguing about. Who's this person that they're arguing about? And why are they arguing about her? Because it's not Betty. Well, she can she can learn how to make a bottle while she's here, but we're just in like a weird spot because normally Madison is not here today, and Bree had to she had an appointment, so I had her, but I didn't have any of my normal stuff. Like she's getting switched off of formula gradually over to milk, and I don't have any because I can't drink milk, so she just had formula today. And it was just easier for me to go do it and not try to explain everything. The sheriff, I could tell the sheriff, but nah. 72. That is glorious. You and Gabby, like the bookends are in the 70s, and I'm melting, but it's fine. Oh, the sheriff. They're arguing about the sheriff. What were they arguing about? Somebody in the jail? Like, what did they do? What did it matter? Did they find something in the cell that woman was in before Betty was in the cell? That's what I was wondering. She is adorable. Super baby, not Carmen. Wow. Well, when she asks for fried chicken, then I will eat some with her. Because if she's old enough to ask for it, she can have it. Church lady's back. So here's my grift. It's not a grift. But if I'm going to be told that I am worse than Dan, well, I'll just say this. I'm better than Betty because tomorrow is my 33-year anniversary. And I've been able to hang on to my man for 33 years. And Betty's been sitting in prison for at least that long. So there's my non-grift grift. That makes me worse than Dan. The wife took a dump. Yeah, that was hilarious. I'm a grifter. Oh my goodness. I'm the worst grifter on the planet. So, the wife took the dog out. Everyone bong a beer, whatever's in reach. Well, I have tea. I don't want anything. We had somebody earlier come in and tell me I was worse than Betty's dead husband. And I was grifting off of Betty. But I was sitting here thinking like, yeah, well, at least I could hang on to my spouse. And he's happy to be here. So it's not miserable. F it. You should just say it is a grift because F them. Gabby. I just wasn't going to argue with her. You guys didn't have to like kick her, but that was fine. I've been waiting for her all week. I knew she was coming. She was waiting till the end. She waited till the end of the last two streams to kind of drop little comments, even though I agreed with her. And then today she was like, oh, today's the day, coming in hot. It's like, I'm not arguing with you. So if you want to stick around, don't care. No, but that is really good. I do like twisted tea. I will probably be getting some tomorrow. Yeah, Sticky, you gotta show up early for that stuff, apparently. Find some food. Where do you want me to find some? In the cornfield? Well, I mean, that could be moonshine, but not this early in the year. We don't embrace problems, we embrace solutions. Gabby was on her so fast that Gabby and Flashman like pounced. Yeah, it was over quickly. It was over before I knew it was over. Yeah, it was. You guys had that done, and I was like, I'm just not going to argue with you. They were just like, see ya, bye. Which I appreciate it, but like I said, you guys didn't have to. That is what she said. Like I said, I called it. I just hadn't said anything here. I had to. I think I told Carmen. I told my husband. He didn't really. He's like, I don't care. And I think I told Brandon. I think I told my Brandon. I don't know. I know I told my sister. I just was waiting patiently. Whatever. I was hoping to be wrong. Yeah, she said when she said I was worse than Dan, I'm like, I'm still upright, so there's a plus. I'm still married. There's another plus, depending on your feelings about that. And you know, I don't know where my grift is because I suck at it. It is fun. And it is peaceful. If you had a nickel for every time I've heard it was over before I knew it was over. How rich would you be, Sticky? LMAFO. Lamau. How do I say that one? I don't remember. Worse than Dan. She obviously doesn't know you at all. Just wanted to cause problems. I like ice cream too. It just doesn't like me. It's all good. I was carrying on the far end of the couch praying to God the spoon stayed in the kitchen. All right. Well, so nobody knows what they're arguing about. Church lady's there. We got like 20 minutes. Oh, hang on. I figured that's probably what it was. I figured she probably maybe was hanging around with Baker because she showed up that night that he was here. The first night he was here, not yesterday. So I figured she was probably in there in that crowd, but it's okay. I'm waiting. I was just told to wait a minute. There she comes. All right, Brandon. This is there you go. That was for you. What is that? Oh, it looked like something bad. Well, have a good time. There you go. Were you even here, Brandon? Did you leave? It was really loud. Did everybody go get one? Is somebody bringing me one? What's happening? So quiet in here right now. I'm scared. I was like, just don't show that it's what it is on, because you can get in trouble for that. But so she had the label covered up, but she's like right in my ear. Seriously? Oh my gosh. Well, my Brandon is downstairs hanging out with his sister. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Carmen. It's like I didn't. I just like that sound is replaying over and over in my head. Well, goodness. I don't even know what to do because I don't want to hear argument about stuff I don't know what they're arguing about. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad I'm entertaining somebody. Let me take her. Bye, church lady. Let me see. I wondered why that was so short. Also, I know that's what she said. Sorry. Gotta get Apple out of this party. Hold on. Let's see. 7. That's what we were just on. So you're saying they don't come back at all? They just argue? Why can't they tell me that? Let's go swimming. So they just argue and argue and argue and argue and argue. Ugh. I explained why it was so short. I was looking so forward to it. Hello, Ruthie. Well, this was the first trial I ever watched. So I remember it quite well because it was, Flashman says it's the second trial that aired on Court TV. I believe him and don't have any reason to not believe him. And she was everywhere. Like Betty was talking to everyone. And I remember watching her interviews and they had the miniseries and it was crazy. No, she did not share. She just was like, here, opened it, bye. Let's go come in the live chat when I go visit her because she'll have, you never come in. Hold. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, I'm not going to do the next part of the testimony because that's over 2 hours and we're already an hour in. So we'll do that one next time. Because they'll be back and they'll be done arguing. Your computer is drawing circles? Betty's first trial was in October 1990. See, which is crazy. I never, until we did this trial and I looked into it, I never knew that she had another trial. Well, fun fact, Gabby. But first, thank you for the super sticker. Wait, did I do that wrong? I did that wrong. Never mind. Whew. So, Gabby, I'm going to tell myself and age myself. I had a party in 1989. My house lasted a weekend, and it was so good that we had T-shirts made up for it. It was when Budweiser very first came out with long neck bottles, because I know, believe it or not, Budweiser did not always have those. Those weren't a thing. And so we had bought a bunch of those. Well, I didn't buy them because I was not old enough. I will not say how old I was, but not old enough to do that. And so then we had T-shirts after the weekend was over. That was our party, was Long Neck Weekend 1989. And it was a good time. What are you doing to me, Brandon? Good execution on provoking and annoying AJ. Point deductions for not checking out the tree. I don't have anything. I used to be a party girl, party person. Did I let people make it rain? I don't know what that means. I don't know, Ruthie. I know she was up for parole not too long ago and it was denied because she just won't take responsibility for what happened. And you know, if whether anybody believes, you know, she was the worst out of the three of them or not, she still did what she did, and she should still be like, take some responsibility for it. You might get out. Grift my dinner. Grift your dinner date. I don't have one. We're gonna have T-shirts too, but they're gonna say corn side. Well, thanks, my Brandon, for gifting a membership. Jennifer J25 or J25 received that. Thank you, Sticky. I promise I've only had this, and it is unsweet tea. It is boring as ever. For being a member for 3 months. Make it rain. I can't. No. No. That never, ever happened. Ever. I can see that. I can see that. I was not. There was probably people wishing that I would have been, so I would shut up, probably. But I was not. And thank you again, Brandon. I appreciate it. Yeah, that would be me too. And I was dancing, no one ever made it rain. You still have some? You take them to the tailgate just in case someone tries to relive the past. See, that's not a very good thing for me to try to do. Yes, I got behind. I'm sorry. No, my name did not used to be Candelicious. Flashman, I just put a call to your pastor to let him know the strip club as well. Just watch out next time you rehearse. Oh, man. Well, apparently we're not, we're not watching Betty tonight because I don't jump ahead on these very often. I did to see when we were going to get to cross-examination finally, but I didn't today. And good heavens, was that an epic fail? So it wasn't Cornelicious. Your house was the party house. I wasn't taught by Bill Cosby. Well, I hope not. Good grief. Gross. Yeah, it is Thursday. You're generally not here. Look at you coming in with the Candelicious. Making it rain. What's happening? I'm in the wrong world. Flashman saying those types of things. Cornelicious Rex. Am I saying it wrong? Because now I want to say Cornelius. But I know what Gabby means. Gabby says, I'm the corn queen. Well, you're not. You're Flash Evil. Or Flash Evil Clone. Flash Evil Clone. Well, not to be outdone by her brother. Oh, Lauren got it. Thanks, Carmen. Carmen gifted a membership, and Lauren Wilson got it. I think she left. Winning a blue first place ribbon is a distinct honor. There just weren't passed out teens everywhere, you pervert. Yeah, they're not inside. They are outside. What's up, Ronnie? You enter at your own risk. That's all I can say today. Betty happened, and then they went to argument for like 20 minutes, and I don't know what they're arguing about. Except I do know that her lawyer is very animated. What's up? Oops. I meant to say hello. I don't know. Do I say you at AT1? Oh my gosh. I hope not, because she hasn't been here since all that happened. Running from here on out, you have to call AJ Cornelicious. On the shelf with the rest of her stuff. Probably on the top shelf where her little sunglasses are. Who in that house has opposable thumbs, or at least one hand? I don't know. Do I want to? Do I want what? I did not. I did not. I did not. I did not hide you. I didn't deny it because I didn't do it. And then I didn't. You did type a bunch of stuff. And I didn't understand what was happening, but I did not have you hidden because I went and looked. So I don't have any idea. And I did not understand any of that because it was saying stuff that I don't know. Thank you. She turns 1 tomorrow. It's on the top shelf next to the corn house below the cornfield in the Cornelicious room. Oh my gosh. Ew. Keep it. Gross. Right. Don't go in there. What's up, Cornelicious? Ew. The Cornelicious room was my favorite part of the White House tour. Gross. If I No. Ew. Ugh. All right, Flashman. I will not ask. I will not ask. It's been there since 1928. Ew. Sticky. I'm not asking about that one either. Have I ever played that game, Warm Beer? No. Why is there a game called Warm Beer? Hey, look at that. Oh, thank you, Flashman. Thank you for not typing that. Thanks, Brandon, my Brandon, for another gifted membership. AT1 got it. Where'd it go? Disappeared. Why is she? It's on the shelf. Bree, go help her. It's on the top shelf. Maybe she's not tall enough to see that high. Oh no. Oh, Brandon. On Wednesday, we do arms because if you want to get AJ away from the dead steer and back into the clear, your beer muscles better be effing swole. That's right. That was a good one, Brandon. Oh, I haven't opened them. They're in a little square package. They're tiny. You'll think there's nothing in there. Hopefully there is something in there. They should be up there on that shelf as well. Let's go do and lift, bro. I like how my family's literally just downstairs. Oh no. Remember when we talked about finding solutions to problems instead of anti-grifting? Bucket beer surround with ice and cold water. The beer is good to go in 10 minutes. 2 minutes. 10, 2, whatever. Speaking of the White House, has anybody seen The Residence on Netflix? Well, I have like almost every other streaming service, but I don't have that one. Probably because like I live in the country or something. No, I don't know. I just don't have that. No, that's why I was up at 1:30 this morning because Carmen didn't get here until 1:30 this morning, and I had to make sure that my dogs would not freak out that a person was coming into my house at 1:30 in the morning. I agree. Those are the best kind. Empty diapers are the best. I hadn't been to sleep. So yeah, I am an early riser, and it sucked this morning because it was a very late night. Oh no. What are you doing?
I'll put Madison's hat on it. Let it fit. I think it looks fantastic. But we were told to tell you to wrap it up because it's gonna be Madison's first time swimming.
All right. You better come and tell Mr. Lesko that. You're gonna make him mad. Oh, and Carmen, Gabby, dang it.
Somebody.
Wants a shout out. You can only do 12-ounce curls or 24-ounce ones today because your elbows barely work. Yes, that sounds horrible. And you need to be able to escape your red rumming wife if you start losing wind to your toes.
I think I need a bigger hat.
I think you do too. Yes, the Amish, they banned Netflix where I live, which is a cornfield, so there's nothing I could do about it because I have about 350 pounds of dog downstairs.
At least. At least.
Combined between the three of them. So yeah. All right. Did you give her a shout out?
Who?
Gabby.
Hey Gabby, shout out.
What the hell?
What the hell? What the corn?
What the corn? Yes, she just got here this morning early. Yeah, that's Madison's hat. That's Madison's hat.
It fits.
Yeah, he's a big softie. This is my daughter, who's Gilligan. This is my daughter, Carmen. She's here from Texas, and she's wearing the hat I bought for my granddaughter. And Carmen's just gonna look like she's going on safari.
We're going on an adventure.
If you heard my dogs bark, you've heard my dogs bark, yeah. Well, don't worry, they're not jumping the fence. I did not get cut off by my kids because I haven't had anything for them to cut me off. Thanks, Carmen. It's me, Jessica. I'm in here.
All right, well, I'm stealing you now because it's Mad Dog's first time swimming. Let's go.
Yes,
That's right. Brandon, let's go.
I have 35 kids. Oh, Brandon, she just called you out, and I have to go because they're going to take Madison swimming in the pool for the very first time. And so I need to go watch that. Sorry, this was like a weird Betty stream. It was a very weird, started weird. And yeah, I have 2 Great Danes, and then my daughter's German Shepherd stays here. Brandon, you're a good guy. Oh, look, money grows on trees. Grifter woman, here's a Hamilton. Thank you. Oh, I hear them. They're going out. So, well, all right. Yes, you did try to get me to not into a hotel room with Flash Van. Flash Van. That sounds weird. Ooh, that's a big dog. And you didn't completely fall off. You could pinch that kid easy. Thank you, Ronnie. Yeah. See? All right, you guys. I will see you guys all on Monday. Carmen will still be around. We'll get through this weekend. Tomorrow is Madison's birthday. It's also my wedding anniversary. So we'll be celebrating Madison's birthday. But like I said earlier, I'm better than Betty, better than Dan. I'm breathing. And I still got my man. Look at me being a poet at the end. That's it. Gonna go. Thank you all for hanging out with me every day, putting up with me, and having my back. So appreciate it. And thank you, Flashman. We can make it another 33 years and I will still be alive. Ruthie, thank you so much. Sorry that we're not streaming Betty, but we will be back on Betty, back to Betty. Good. I've got to stop. We'll be back to watching Betty on Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll continue with cross-examination. Hopefully, they will have all their issues figured out by then. I'm a poet, and now I'm going to show it. I did too. I liked it. It was great. I will not be another Betty. I will not. All right. So I'll see you guys all later. Have a great weekend. Make good choices. Be smart, safe. I only have enough bail money for maybe one or two of you. And Gabby, she's always got first dibs. So just, I prefer to not ever have to visit any of you in jail. Okay? All right. See you guys later. Now see you later.